Hi everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about a subject matter that's incredibly close to my heart, and that is leadership. I think a lot of us have experienced bad leaders in our life, and some of us have experienced good leaders in our life. My goal is to develop and train some of the best leaders in the real estate industry here at Carbon. And you're going to see me putting a lot of effort towards that. You may have noticed some changes recently, for example, where I am prone to make sure that we are giving our leaders the opportunity to own their results, and to really own their properties. And that's very important to me. I think that if we have a team of um, highly accountable and highly driven, highly motivated and passionate leaders, we will be a incredibly strong force to reckon with, and see incredible growth for all of us across our careers, and more opportunities to come. Um, One of the things that I think that leaders or that people kind of a misnomer or a mistake that people have about leadership is that it's just telling people what to do from a place of authority. Um, Great leaders are not just telling people what to do from a place of authority and getting people to do it because they have the authority and, power over them. Great leaders derive power and authority from respect and connection with the folks that they're leading. Um, and what does this mean? I think if you think about really great leaders, it's because they've inspired the people around them for a greater mission. They are enabling the people around them to succeed. They're giving them the tools. Um, they're, you know, driving results and inspecting what they expect, right? But the people that are following leaders are doing so because they respect them, they admire them, they feel connected with them, not because of some sort of arbitrary power over them. And so that's just something I want to kind of, make sure that we start to think about and we talk about a lot, here at, here at Carbon. So, you know, one of the things that I look at, you know, is are is how are we best holding our folks accountable? If I generally look at somebody on my team and I see something getting accomplished that is not getting accomplished, or sorry, something not getting accomplished that I want to be accomplished, I look at three things. I look at, were the expectations clear of what I wanted them to do? Um, it's very important. Uh, this is setting good expectations. It doesn't have to be overly firm, or it doesn't have to be rude. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be unkind or even, come across as, with any sort of power trip. It's very simply, you know, Cody, I have these expectations of you. For you to accomplish, I really want you to be able to succeed in this role. For you to be able to succeed in this role, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Um, that's what I want out of you. Is it a clear expectation? I want it to be done by X date, right? Always be setting a deadline. No expectations should be given without setting a deadline around those expectations. So I make sure at the first that they understand my expectations. Sometimes I don't do a good job of communicating my expectations, and then I'm upset about somebody that, uh, wanted to accomplish what I needed them to accomplish, right? They wanted to do what I wanted them to do, but they didn't know, right? I didn't do a good job of setting expectations. The second thing I look at is the person trained, right? Do they know how to do this? A lot of people get really paralyzed when they don't understand how to do a process. So I really think about, like, am I giving them the right tools? Are they trained in how to do it? Have I made the process very simple? Have I made it very clear? Do they have all the right knowledge? Right. And I think generally, when you think about training, it's, do it one time in front of them, do it one time with them, have them do it, and then inspect it, right? Kind of thing. Um, and then the final thing is, are they motivated to do it, right? You know, I think that everyone generally wants to do a great job and be a great contributing member of a team. Um, but sometimes people are not motivated. Sometimes they're not motivated for a position. They're not motivated by, a company or a mission. And that's okay. Everyone has kind of different things that they're motivated by or different things that they care about. And we have to accept that as leaders, and understand that when that is the case, maybe we're not a great fit for each other. And that's perfectly fine. But I just think we have honest conversations about that. Hey, if you're not motivated in this position, if you don't want to, if you don't want to fulfill this position, if this doesn't excite you, maybe there's a better role for you at another place that does excite you, because everyone deserves to be able to work in a job that they're passionate about, that they're excited about, that they feel good about, with a team they feel good about, right? So expectations clear, they're trained, and they're motivated, right? Um, One other thing, as we talk about this is, as I said, you need to inspect what you expect. This is a key error and issue that I had when I first was started, when I first started out. Is I would give people tasks and then I would just assume that they were going to do them, right? Um, and integrity is a core value of Carbon, and that means doing what you say you're going to do, right? So, but unfortunately, um, I think it's generally human nature, or just, there's a whirlwind of stuff going on, until your folks start to understand that you will be holding them accountable, you will be inspecting the results that you expect, you will be following up, um, then these things can slip. So it's super important to, although you've given somebody a task, that task still needs to remain on some checklist for you to inspect it later on, until you develop a team that is, that is no longer an issue, right? And I encourage you to create systems to double check things, and that are as automated as possible at following up on your expectations. Um, and this really helps with accountability, right? And the final piece is, it's connection. And I know this sounds kind of funny in a leadership conversation, but connection is incredibly important to being a strong leader. Um, we, again, I think something I mentioned earlier, right? People are not best led, and you don't develop the best team members um, by uh, by just speaking from a position of power and authority, right? The best team members follow and um, you know participate and join in your team and want to be led because they feel connected to you, because you're listening to them, right? Because you're there with them, you're hearing them. It doesn't always mean you have to agree with everything they said, right? It doesn't always mean, it doesn't mean that you let whatever happen. You set the standards and you hold your team accountable to those standards. But it's more than just, you know, uh, uh, it's more than just yelling or pushing or punishing, etc. Right? I think true leadership really starts with connection, connecting with the people, understanding their motivations, understanding what's important to them, understanding what's blocking them from accomplishing and from achieving the expectations that you've set, right? And so I think to be a great leader, you really have to learn how to connect with your team, um, and and connect with them on a personal level. At the end of the day, we do business with people, do business with people, right? People don't do business with businesses, right? So there's a face on the other side of this. Um, and so, anyways, uh, I wanted to kind of have this conversation because you're going to notice a lot of, changes of, much more extreme accountability. Uh, we're really going to be pushing to give our our community managers, property managers, and maintenance supervisors a lot more ownership of their properties. We really expect you're a well trained, well compensated, professional. And we really expect the best out of you. We expect you to treat this property like it's your property, these tenants like they're your, family, these that you love and so hold accountable. Um, and the financials of the property like it's your own. And we're setting up bonus plans that will be highly commensurate with that. But in order to do that, we've had several examples recently. Somebody wanted to bring on a team member who they felt very strongly with. They'd worked at a previous company, maybe didn't meet quite the right culture index, but we have a conversation. We say, listen, we trust you. We trust your judgment. We've hired you. You're in charge of this property. If we can't trust you, then we're a wrong fit, right? So we trust you. Here's our concerns. But we're going to let you make this call. And it's going to be up to you to hold that person accountable once you hire them, right? And the same is going to be true throughout the board, right? We're going to be doing a lot to really, to really make, to really kind of bring a huge sense of ownership, and leadership to our community managers and also to our maintenance supervisors. Maintenance supervisors is the same thing. So at the end of the day, maintenance supervisor, you're leading one or two techs, right? Um, for anybody that's dealing with vendors, this is also the same thing. Um, so I hope this conversation was good. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Um, I'm going to be popping in every once in a while and kind of just sharing my thoughts. I'll also be connecting with everyone one-on-one. Uh, but yeah, I wanted to kind of mention this because we are making some more changes. We are kind of starting to provide more ownership and autonomy to a lot of our community managers. Um, and I wanted to have this conversation today because I do think it's like an important thing to kind of understand. And leadership is not something that we talk about enough. We talk a lot about management. We talk a lot about um, you know, uh, tactical stuff in our positions, but we don't talk about developing ourselves as leaders. And so I really wanted to have this conversation today. And thank you so much for taking your time and listening.